Hello world! I've been lurking and watching VC videos for a few months, and now it's time to introduce myself. I'm in my home office for this first video because I don't have a good area near my turntable to shoot yet. Today is also scripted so I can be certain to get in everything that I want. My name is Sean, but I usually go online by Slambo. I've been collecting comedy and novelty recordings since the late 1970s, and now I'm getting back to curating my collection and listening to records and CDs again. So here's a quick rundown on my history with record collecting. Title of this channel, Slambo's Car of Idiots, comes from a weekly radio show that I used to host on a couple of college stations in California back around 1990. In the 1970s and 80s, my favorite radio show was the Dr. Demento show, so I started my collection by buying the records that were featured on that show. When I had a chance to go on the air myself, I naturally chose to play records in my collection of comedy recordings, following a format very similar to Dr. D. I never got enough requests to have a top 10 or Funny 5 countdown, so the last hour of my show was always just focused on the theme of the week. At KUCR in Riverside, I was given the Thursday morning 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. time slot. There were so many morning shows that were already called So-and-so's Ship of Fools, I thought it was a bit too cliche. I didn't want my show called that. It was a Far Side cartoon that showed a ship of fools in one frame and a car of idiots in the next frame that was the inspiration for my show's name. The next show after mine on Thursdays was a classical musical show. The next DJ to come in always called it The Great Transition when my show ended, and I always tried to find something that would relate in some way to both my weekly theme and classical music to end my show. My next radio appearance was at KCSB in Santa Barbara, where I continued my weekly show for about a year before moving to the Midwest. My records mostly sat on a shelf, but I did get to host a few Access Hour shows at WORT, following the format that I had been used to. A few years ago, one of our cats thought my record sleeves make a wonderful squashing wall, so a lot of my record spines got pretty torn up, as you can see. I clamped some plywood on the front of the shelves and let the records sit for a while. Just after the November election last year, I finally got up the nerve to go through my collection again. I started cataloging my collection on Discogs and really inspecting the damage so I could identify what I needed to replace. The records themselves all appear to be in good shape, but the sleeves are not. My Christmas money this year got me a new Denon receiver and amplifier with a phonoground. I got a new microgroove stylus for my turntable, a Gerard SL65, in January, and just a few days ago I got a new 78 RPM stylus for it as well. I've forgiven the cat, and now I'm enjoying my collection again. As already mentioned, the bulk of my collection is comedy and novelty recordings, but I'm also building up my jazz and 80s alternative rock sections, and now I'm adding electro swing into the mix. I'm excited to get this channel off the ground, and I hope you'll find something interesting in what I have to say. I have a few video topics identified to show off my collection. I know a few musicians in my area who are getting some worldwide attention, and there is some important musical history connected to the city where I live. So join me on my quest to repair the damage in my collection, find new treasures, and have fun talking about music and recordings. See you next time.